Hey guys, welcome to the first Unsigned Sound Podcast mixing video. If you haven't checked out the full episode of this one, I strongly recommend you do that. You can go ahead and go over to unsignedsoundpodcast.com. The whole episode is there for you to listen to, and also the music video for this very song is up there as well. So this is from the first session with Jesse MacLeod. This is his song, Just Being a Man, which I think will be on his upcoming record coming out very soon. But first, I kind of want to tell you how these videos are going to go, since this being the first one. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the mixing process of each session for you guys, for you to learn from. So the session we have here, it's pretty simple. Jesse just brought in his acoustic guitar and his voice. So we're gonna play with those two tracks that we have here, just guitar, a stereo guitar track, which was an acoustic guitar, and his vocal track here. A little bit about the mic placement, because that's very important. I'll have a picture for you guys to see it. But for the guitar, I had two Aventone Audio CK1s, which are the small diaphragm condenser microphones. They sounded great, very crystal clear. And for the vocal, I had a classic Neumann U87. And if you can get your hands on one, I strongly recommend you use that on just about anything. It's a workhorse. It can do anything. So in terms of mic technique I used, first let me say all microphones were in cardioid position. And what that means is the polar pattern on the microphone capsule was set to pick up 100% of the front of the capsule and also rejecting the back of the capsule. So what I did here with the guitar mics is I pointed them down toward the guitar and also away from the vocal, as you can see from the picture there. So what that does is it'll reject the vocal and the guitar mics and mostly just capture the guitar. I did the same thing with the vocal mic. I pointed it up toward the vocalist's mouth and away from the guitar, effectively getting that same sort of technique going there. I'll just show you quickly just this guitar. I'll just go over here and select a part here. And let's just listen to mainly the bleed. So you're going to hear mostly guitar. But I also want you to pay attention to the vocal in the guitar mics. Take a listen.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
Right, so we mostly hear the guitar, but we do hear some of the vocal as well. And that's completely all right. Let's also listen to that same section. And let's listen to the vocal mic now. Listen for the guitar. You're going to obviously hear mostly vocal, but also listen for that guitar bleed as well. Here we go.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
All right, cool. Definitely play around with your microphones. Try to get that nice balance of mostly the source you want and try to minimize the bleed as much as you can. Just moving the microphone an inch will make a huge difference. So definitely play around with that. So now that we've heard those two tracks individually, let's hear what they sound like together and just listen to the raw audio. Here we go.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I know I can get a little carried away. Time is money, I sure ain't a rich man, baby. We all gotta make our living at the end of the day.
Cool. So right from the start, they sound pretty good. Maybe a little cleaning up can be done, but really we have a pretty solid sound right now. What I like to do before I do anything, I like to listen to the mix in mono. So what I can do here, I have this Maxim plugin here, just so you guys can listen to it at a louder volume. So what I like to do is I like to just kind of listen to the whole thing in mono, because that helps me really pick out the things that I like and what I don't like with the mix already. So I go ahead and open this Air Stereo Width plugin. Comes free with Pro Tools, and all you got to do is take the width all the way to 0%. So let's listen to what that sounds like.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I know I can get a little carried away.
So I hear quite a bit of mud in the guitar just by hearing that in mono. So that can help me a lot just by EQing that out of the guitar. We're going to set that to bypass right now. In fact, we're just going to get rid of this plugin. And we're going to open it up on our guitar track. So there it is. Let's set it up to 0%, and let's also throw an EQ on there. Also using just the EQ37 band, comes free with Pro Tools. So all of you out there who just have the basic setup can follow along. Let's try to pick out those bad frequencies to cut. Let's pick a different spot.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you.
Yeah, so that part is pretty loud, so that's a good spot to pick. If you go over here to the frequency spot on any of the bands here on the EQ, you can press Control-Shift on your keyboard, hold those two down, and just kind of sweep along the frequency, and that will, kind of close in on that frequency that you really want to hear, so you know to boost or cut whatever you want. So let's take that tool into action, and we're going to play it again.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
That stuff is bad. So let's cut about 4 dBs off of that. We'll listen to it first in mono. So first, let's listen to what we did.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
And bypassed.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you.
Yeah, so it's a subtle difference, but there's a little less mud in there. Let's listen to it in stereo now. So we're just going to bypass this, and let's listen to that.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
And bypass the EQ.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
Great. It's a great little cut there. Really makes a difference. That's the thing with mixing. All the subtle things that you do to your mix will totally add up in the end, and that's what makes a great mix. So keep it subtle. Don't make some big decision and commit to it. Just keep your decisions subtle, and hopefully that'll turn out to what you want. So also, I'm just going to cut the lows as well. So I'm going to throw in a high pass filter in there, and we're just going to pick a different spot here and just sweep it along until we find something nice.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
Yeah, just just the stuff under 50 hertz is fine. And we're going to move on from there. Don't need this anymore. So now let's move on to the vocal. Vocal probably already sounds pretty good, but let's listen to it, just the raw audio.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Let's throw in a EQ there. And first, let's just start it off with a high-pass filter and choose a different spot. And let's see what we should cut.
Sometimes it may seem I'm not that into you. Oh, but stick it out. 'Cause we're just getting started. Whoa, baby.
Yeah. As long as you don't cut too much, I think that sounds pretty good. I also noticed that there's a little bit of a mid-range kind of nose frequency somewhere in there, probably in the mid-range, that needs to be turned down just a little bit. So let's find a different part. And let's use our technique again, just by holding Control-Shift and I'm going to use the mid-range band here and try to spot out that nose kind of sound I'm hearing. Here we go.
Ain't no way I'm ever gonna cross that line. Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you.
Yeah, right around 500. Let's take about 3 dBs away and see what that sounds like.
Ain't no way I'm ever gonna cross that line. Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you.
And bypassed.
Ain't no way I'm ever gonna cross that line. Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you.
And one more time back in.
Ain't no way I'm ever gonna cross that line. Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you.
Yeah, subtle difference again, but it really adds up in the end. So what's the point of doing all this without listening to all this in context? And that's exactly what we're about to do. Have everything unbypassed, and let's listen to what we've done so far. First, let's listen to it bypassed. So here we go.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand. Believe me, darling, I put no one else above you.
Okay, and let's listen to it unbypassed. So this is what we've done so far.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
I think we've made progress. So we're going to go ahead and now touch the volume a little bit. I noticed the guitar was pretty loud, so we're going to take that down, about 4.5 dBs. And let's put this EQ up here. And let's listen to this mix.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you.
It can even come down a little more. This part is totally subjective. The voice to guitar ratio and any singer-songwriter type setup you have is totally subjective. Feel free to do whatever you want. This is just what I like.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
Yeah, that's nice. So now moving on, we're going to add a little bit of compression to the guitar and vocal because I think there are pretty soft spots up here in the beginning of the guitar track, and then it kind of gets louder and then even louder over here. So we're going to even that out with a compressor. Now I have a Summit Audio TLA 100, which I like to use, and it's just a LA2A modeled plugin. If you don't know what an LA2A is, it's from Universal Audio. It's a very famous classic compressor, often used for vocals, but it's a really nice optical compressor to use, and we're going to use it today. So first, let's start with the soft stuff up in the beginning here. And first, we're going to gain match. So that means we're going to take our compressor and we're going to shift this knob around so that when we bypass it, it'll be at the same volume. So let's start with it. Let's start with it bypassed. Unbypassed.
I can get caught up in.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Pretty much consistent volume there. So now we're going to take our gain reduction, and we're just going to tweak it up a little bit and see how much it's catching.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing.
It's just barely tickling the compressor there. So let's take focus on the attack and release on the guitar settings. So usually for an acoustic guitar, I like to keep the attack kind of medium to slow. So we're going to keep it at medium first. And then for the release, we'll keep it slow. And let's see. Yeah, we can use the same spot. So let's use the same amount of gain reduction. And here we go. Let's see what that did.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing.
Okay, so it's tickling maybe a little more here, maybe at most a dB of gain reduction just in the beginning, which is pretty much what we want, because we don't want to compress so much this stuff as we do this stuff and this loud peaks there. So let's highlight the loud stuff and let's see how much gain reduction we're getting here.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
I think we can live by just pushing that gain reduction up a little more, and let's see what that sounds like.
Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
So we're getting a pretty consistent gain reduction of around 1 dB, and obviously when we hear the vocal, it's compressing it a little more, maybe up to a max of minus 3 dBs. So I think I like these settings. These settings are pretty nice. They even out the guitar pretty well. So with that, we're going to move to the vocal. Vocal looks pretty consistent. Obviously, we have some small, soft stuff, and then we have some loud stuff here. So let's start with the soft stuff. I'm going to use the same compressor. Okay. And I'll keep the attack fast. The release will be in the middle, sure. And first, we're going to gain match. So let's see what this sounds like.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
And bypassed.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
All right, that's pretty evenly matched. Didn't really do anything, really. Okay, so let's add a little bit of reduction here.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
Okay, just barely tickling, which is what we want for the soft stuff. And let's move on to the loud and see what it's doing.
Oh, baby, know how much I love you.
Cool. It's definitely catching a little bit more, but let's crank it up just a tiny bit more and see what it's doing now.
Oh, baby, know how much I love you.
Cool. And let's listen back to what the soft stuff sounds like, and let's see if it's about the same level as the loud stuff. Here we go.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
Okay, and moving on to the loud.
Oh, baby, know how much I love you.
Pretty consistent, and that's all we really need to do with a compressor. So now, here comes the fun part. What I like to do is add a little bit of reverb. Since the setup is so simple, we're gonna add some reverb and really get some space going in this mix. So right now, we can use software plugins such as, let's see what we have here. You know, Avid's Deverb, which is, I use that plugin on a lot of stuff. Space is also pretty nice. And, you know, other things. Isotope has some delays, which isn't reverb, but sometimes can make it sound like reverb. But anyway, I choose to, for this mix, I'm going to choose to use one of my hardware devices. I have a Lexicon MX200, and we're going to use that to add some reverb to this mix. So go ahead and press Command-Shift-N to open up a new track. Control-Shift-N if you're using a PC. And we're going to create one stereo aux input. We're going to call it Lexicon. Okay. I think we really only need to use it for the vocal. So we're going to only send this track to the Lexicon. But first, what we need to understand is how this Lexicon Reverb is set up with our interface here and in Pro Tools. How are we able to use it? So what I have it patched up to is there's an out on my interface, output 3 and 4, and that's directly routed to the inputs on the Lexicon. And from the Lexicon, I take out of the Lexicon back in to inputs 3 and 4 on my interface. So I can go ahead and on the insert section of the Lexicon track, go to I/O, insert 3 and 4, because that's how it's set up on my interface. And we're actually going to use a bus to bus this to this track. So our input on this Lexicon track will be bus whatever we decide. Let's decide 9 and 10. And we're going to send our vocal to bus 9 and 10. And let's crank it up all the way up to 0. So now we should be getting a pretty consistent feed of the vocal track into the Lexicon Reverb. So as you can see here, we have input, mix 1 and mix 2, since we have 2 processors. We can select which reverb we want by using the effect select on each channel here. We have pre-delay, decay, and a variation. Pre-delay will tell the audio how soon you want the reverb to click in. The decay will be how long you want the decay of the reverb to be. And the variation is just kind of a dark, soft, bright, kind of variant position here. So we're going to first go ahead and select the effect for our processor 1. And I think I want a nice studio or room sound just to kind of make it a little more spacious. We'll select studio. And we're going to bypass our second processor. So from there, we should just solo the vocal track and see if we're getting any signal. Let's see.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
I didn't have the Lexicon soloed, so that's why we didn't hear anything. But it looked like we got signal, so let's hear it.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
All right, there it is. So it sounded pretty washed out. So we're gonna maybe add a little less into our mix. So that's 100%, and that's about 54% there. And if I turn it left, that's dry. If I turn it right, that's wet. So we're gonna put it around halfway, and let's see what that sounds like.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
Okay, a little less washed out, which is what we want. So now we can play with the effect settings. I think for the room, I don't want any pre-delay, but just so you know what it sounds like, let's crank it up all the way, and let's see what that sounds like.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
So if you know what it's doing, it's taking the incoming audio and just delaying it a bit before it hits back, and we can hear it. So I'm going to keep that all the way because I don't want any delay. I want the reverb to hit the audio right away. In terms of decay, I'll open it up a little bit so we can hear a little bit longer of a response. Let's see what that sounds like.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
And at 100%, it sounds like this.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
Subtle, but I'm going to keep it around 44-45% there. And next we have the variation. So right now we've been hearing it at 100% dark, I would like to say. And the more I turn it to the right, it'll be brighter. So we've been hearing it at 100% dark. Let's hear it at 100% bright.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener.
Definitely much brighter. So we're going to keep it around 70% because I want it more bright than dark. That's just my taste. You can do whatever you like. So I think it's still a little too much. I'm going to take it down in the mix just a little bit more. And we're going to go on to our next processor. And for this one, I want a little bit longer of a response of the reverb. So I'm gonna select a vocal plate here, and I'm again not going to touch the pre-delay because I want it to hit immediately. And the decay, I'm going to open it up quite a bit, 70%. Let's select a different part of the song. And let's see what this sounds like. Unbypass, and let's hear what it sounds like.
Believe me, darling, I put no one in.
So you heard that little tail, but I almost forgot to put up the input mix so we can actually hear it a little bit better. So let's put it up at 100%, and let's hear what that sounds like.
Believe me, darling, I put no one else above you. I got no excuses, baby.
It's there. I'm going to take away the decay a little bit more, 60%, and we're going to put up the variation also to, well, let's put it up at 100%, see what it does.
Believe me, darling, I put no one else above you.
We definitely hear a lot more. I think it's a little too much, so we're going to put it back to around 60%. And let's hear what that sounds like at another spot in the song.
Oh, baby, you know how much I love you. No, I can be a little hard to understand.
It's still a little bright for my liking, so I'm going to take it down just a little bit more, 40%.
Oh, baby, you know how much I love you.
That sounds pretty nice, and obviously it's really wet right now, so I'm going to take the mix 2 down, which is our vocal plate. I'm going to take that down quite a bit because I want more room sound than a plate sound. Let's hear what that sounds like.
Oh, baby, know how much I love you.
Now I think we have too much studio. So I'm going to take the studio mix down a bit. And let's take a different spot in the song. Let's hear it.
Sometimes you can't get through. Sometimes it may seem I'm not that into you.
Okay. Now we've just been hearing the vocal. Now let's hear it in context with the rest of the song. Or let's hear it with the guitar. So let's hear it from, why not the beginning?
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I know I can get a little carried away. Time is money, I sure ain't a rich man, baby. We all gotta make our living at the end of the day.
Okay, sounds pretty good. I think the overall mix of the reverb is kind of a lot, so I'm going to take this down about 6 dBs there, and let's hear what that sounds like.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I know I can get a little carried away. Time is money, I sure ain't a rich man, baby. We all gotta make our living at the end of the day.
I think that sounds good. The only thing I would say is the reverb might be a little too bright still. So I'm going to take down the variation on the vocal plate just a little bit more. And I can even go so far as to high cut the reverb just a little bit. So we're going to put it in this low pass filter just a little bit, around 8K. Let's hear what that sounds like.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I know I can get a little carried away. Time is money, I sure ain't a rich man, baby. We all gotta make our living at the end of the day.
Cool. I think we can stand to hear a little bit more of the reverb, but definitely don't overdo it. Easily done, overdoing the reverb, for sure. We'll select this part of the song. Let's hear it.
Sometimes the grass looks a little bit greener. Sometimes I just wanna make a woman smile. Yeah, I might flirt just to see if I still got it. Ain't no way I'm ever gonna cross that line. Oh, baby, know how much I love you. Know I can be a little hard to understand.
Last thing I would say is the guitar is still a little bit loud, which is just my preference, so I'm going to take it down a little bit more. And let's listen to it from here. Here we go.
I'ma do what I gotta do to turn this around. Whoa, baby, you know how much I love you. Know I can be a little hard to understand. Believe me, darling, I put no one else above you. I got no excuses, babe. I'm just being a man.
Excellent. I think that sounds really great. From this point, I can really just make those kind of subjective decisions that just kind of tame to my liking. So at this point, you can really do whatever you want in the mix. So I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to touch it anymore. This is pretty much the final mix. But before I before I let you go, let's just hear everything we heard. So I'm going to bypass everything. I'm going to mute the reverb, and we're going to listen to it completely dry just to see what we accomplished today.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I know I can get a little carried away. Time is money, I sure ain't a rich man, baby. We all gotta make our living at the end of the day.
All right, and let's put everything back in.
I can get caught up in whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I know I can get a little carried away. Time is money, I sure ain't a rich man, baby. We all gotta make our living at the end of the day.
Cool. I think it's pretty much finished. I hope you liked this video. I'll be making one for every session that I have on the Unsigned Sound Podcast. Be sure to check out the music video of Jesse performing the song live. And that's all at unsignedsoundpodcast.com. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a good one.